Hello and welcome to Did You Say Something, the variety podcast show where I absolutely bow down to the superior voice acting skills of my much better co-host, the incomparable Matt Mangum. I am so honored to be in your presence each and every day. I am just... Give me a minute. Whew. Okay. Composure. Was that it? Because that's all I got.
Yeah, no, that was
beautiful intro.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
This is a new segment that Matt and I are trying out where we write each other an intro for the start of the show just to see if we can make the other one break. And I was close on that one, I'm not going to lie. This show is going to be slightly different. So thank you very much for tuning in and enjoying our special guests with us. But this is the mainstay format where Matt and I will just kind of talk all things voiceover, things that interest us, and berate each other, really, for those choices. There will be games, there will be other bullshit involved, and obviously we will have our guests returning, and guest shows will be a regular occurrence because we have got lots planned for you, lots of exciting stuff coming up. But I figured that we could start this show off with getting to know Matt and I a little bit better. So, Matt, do you want to start with the questions, or should I start with the questions? I mean, it usually goes to you at this point, so we may as well keep that in theme, eh?
Whatever, Connor. You know what? I just about half-assed give a shit about being on this show. No.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I am not happy about sharing the screen with just you, but here we are.
That's the best time of your life. My name is Matt Mangum. I have been voice acting for pretty seriously now for about 2 years. Started roughly about 3 years ago. I am one of those pandemic VO babies, as they say. I had no aspirations to be a voice actor at all until the last couple of years. When I was a kid, I did want to actually be a stage actor and be in movies and do stuff like that. That transitioned into wanting to be a stuntman. I've done a lot of things. I actually trained for that for quite a few years.
Did you?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty cool.
I was from the age of about 15 to 21, I was a professional trampolinist. Got to travel around the United States and Canada and Mexico and put on shows at carnivals and street festivals and various things. And that was a good time. And then, life happens and I met my wife. Reintroduced myself to my wife. We've actually known each other since we were 13. And then, a year later, had my first child, and here we are. So life choices, lots of things change. When I started... Yes, lots of stuff. It's pent up. You know each other since you were 13. We were together for about 3 or 4 years, and then we split apart for about six years, and then got reacquainted. Yeah, and so I... Yes, Connor, that's how it works. No, I've been doing martial arts for the last 10 years. Found that to be what actually allowed me to remove my head from my sphincter as an adult and actually do something with myself. And I got the opportunity to do that with my kids, which I still do, which is awesome. My own son is working on his black belt curriculum now to hopefully in the next year or two achieve his own black belt. Something that I'm very proud that I did for myself because it definitely changed who I am and allowed me some discipline and things like that I don't think I would have been able to voice act without. And I started out on TikTok after the pandemic because I had nothing better to do because I wasn't teaching karate because of the pandemic. And my son has a condition, so we didn't know what was going to come out of that. And being around a whole bunch of kids and other people at the time was a little scary in that manner. So I jumped on TikTok and found some VO challenges by Joe McKenzie and Chris Greenfield, and those really got me going. I got lucky enough to get invited to Joe's server and offered to do some practicing and really get serious about voice acting, which I have. And that's all I'm attaining to do is all things voice acting, though, which includes this podcast with Conor, which is allowing us just to express all of our feelings about VO and then, the realities and truisms of it and the world and how we feel about our lives. And everything that's going on so far. So this has been quite fun, actually. Unfortunately, I have to share the stage with Conor, but sacrifices that we make.
Yes.
So and here we are off with this ball rolling. So I'm very happy to have you guys joining us and listening to our nonsense and showing the support. So thank you very much. I'll kick that same question back over to Conor.
Similar kind of thing. So with the pandemic going on and lockdowns, obviously looking for new ways to stay in touch with friends and new things to do that keep things exciting outside of video games and whatnot. Kind of stumbled into a bit of Dungeons and Dragons. One of my mates was like, have you ever played? I said no. He's like, have you ever thought about playing? I was like, no, but it sounds cool. Because I said it sounds cool, I ended up being roped into being the DM. So learning all of the rules, learning how to play as well. Yeah, it was a stressful session. But, you know, I've always been quite good at accents. I've always done just stupid voices here and there. So I saw that, you motherfucker. Yeah, so accents and voices, they sort of came into play. And then through that, I found Critical Role, which is obviously a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors who get together and play Dungeons & Dragons. And was like, oh, voice acting. That's a thing. So I had a little look into it, had a little play around with it, found some of Chris Greenfield's voiceover challenge videos on TikTok, did a couple of them. And they were embarrassing and horrible, but they are fantastic to go back to and go, somehow I have got better. I mean, I couldn't have got much worse, but you can see the improvement, however marginal. And then, yeah, I was just sort of playing around with all of that. Somehow managed to stumble onto Book Talk, which is where I met Tanya. Sort of just went from there with a CSI cold read. I then got invited back to another CSI cold read, which was more spicy in origin. Which I was, when I first started this, I was like, you know what, narration, And then I did the first cold read. I was like, actually, narration's pretty fun, but I'm not doing spicy. And then I went and did a spicy CSI. I was like, okay, maybe I will do spicy. And then my first proper book was spicy. So yeah, and I've been doing it probably about a year and a half seriously now, and it's been an interesting journey. I've got a couple of projects under my belt, and I've got plenty more coming up, which is exciting, and some with you, my good sir.
Yes, indeed. And it's interesting how you and I have only really been doing this for a couple months, and I mean by doing this, like talking to each other. we got introduced through CSI Cold Reads, which thank you, Aaron Smith, and thank you, Tanya, because that's an amazing 100%. Show that brings together authors and narrators and gets people work and gets them recognized. And it's something that Conor and I talk about all the time. Is it's so amazing because it just highlights indie creators and indie narrators and indie authors. And it's huge. I really can't remember what got you and I actually talking. I'm sure one of us, because I've been on CSI Cold Reads a couple times, and you've been on there a few times, and one of us gave the other shit. I don't know if you remember. I don't. Please continue.
It was on one of the Discord channels that you and I share, where we were on a call, I think, just a group call on Discord. You jumped in, I was there, and straight away just started giving each other shit, and we both took it well. And then it was like, all right, let's see how far I can push this. And I'm yet to find the fucking line.
There isn't one. This is you're stuck with me forever. There is no line. We will just fall into the abyss together.
Spiraling down.
And the funny thing is, I think I got an invite from somebody else to that mutual server that we're now in, and I just happened to jump in because Tanya was in there, I believe. And that's where it was. And then I think, man, it was a matter of weeks later, we redid a very old but hilarious bit.
Mine got banned for being against the community guidelines.
Probably because you weren't wearing a shirt.
That's probably got something to do with it.
Maybe the language. I don't know.
The partial nudity, the language, the fact it's not technically original content.
It's not at all. We absolutely ripped off a show, Don't Talk to Strangers. So if you know the show and you know the scene with the guy on the shore and the other gentleman on the small island, what's your name? Tony. What's your name? Ezekiel. We did a very hilarious bit, which we may have to reenact here on Dis sometime.
I will not be topless.
It's debatable. We'll discuss that later behind closed doors.
Giggity.
So that's a little bit of an intro as to how who Conor and I really are and how we came about. And then now we have this beautiful podcast that we're both very proud of. And this is so much fun. It's an absolute blast.
I don't think there are a few occasions that I am in hysterics laughing, but this currently is one of the main things that brings that out. Could be the fact that it's early hours of the morning every time we record at the minute. Well, pretty much every time we record at the minute. And it could be tiredness-induced hysteria. Who knows? But let's put it down to the fact that he can actually sometimes be funny, and our guests are usually hilarious.
If you haven't grasped the point of this yet from the first 2 episodes, you're going to get it now. This is absolutely the point. I mean, the main point we talk about behind the scenes is bringing up the community and helping each other out and all that. But really, we just want to take the piss out of each other for an hour and have everybody else listen to it and find the hilarity in it.
We are going to try and keep it some sort of structured for these episodes, as much as we could just Matt and I chat shit about each other to each other for an hour. That's not really beneficial to you guys that are listening. So there is going to be some structure and some point to these episodes. The main one for this one, seeing as it's the first one, is going to be giving out some of our tips for new, and I hate the word, but aspiring voiceover. Yeah, beginners.
There you go. Because you either are or you're not. If you say you're aspiring, my first tip. You've never begun.
Yeah, right? That's my first tip. There we go. Drop aspiring. You are a beginner. If you have to put something, beginner, because you got to believe in yourself to begin with.
Yes.
Like, if you don't have the confidence in yourself that you're actually going to make it somewhere with this, then that's going to come across in any auditions or anything that you produce, as Matt knows, because he's shit.
Did you say something?
No, I did not. Over to you, good sir. What is one of your go-to tips?
First and foremost, I agree with Conor on that one. Absolutely. Like, do not sell yourself short. I don't care if it's your very first day trying it out or I've only been doing this for 6 months. It doesn't matter. If you are a voice actor, you are. And the same goes for anything else in your life. You are the owner of a company and you're going to do something. You are going to do that. And you speak that way, mainly for your own self-confidence. And like Conor said, believing in yourself. And especially in voice acting, that non-confidence will absolutely come through in your voice. And with that, I will say, speaking of your voice, I've been told my whole life I should be in radio. I should do something. You have a great voice.
Just people want to hide you away so they don't have to look at your face.
You don't want to see this face, but I'm making all of you look at it.
I apologize.
But no, right. And I got that. And I thought, yeah, you know what? Sure. After all the things, and I've done music and I've done other things, I thought, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. And man, do you find out really fast that your voice means jack all? Because if you cannot act, you are going to sound horrible. So my tip is, no matter how good or how bad, poor, I don't like saying that either. Somebody says your voice is, any voice is good as long as you can act, right? And there's always going to be a spot for you. So do not first thing think that you have to run out there and spend $500 or $1,000 on equipment and buy the best microphone and the best all of this, because guess what? You might spend all of that money, try it out and find out, I fucking hate acting. I don't want to do this. And now you have all of this equipment. So really, there are pretty cheap little kits on Amazon. Sponsor us. And that's the very first thing I did. I think I spent like $160 and I got a full setup. It came with an interface, came with a mic, came with a boom stand, and that do not buy USB, go XLR every time, unless you have the mic that I now have and you know how to use 32-bit float. And if you don't know what that is, you have lots of research to do. But but really, go buy some cheap equipment. And even at that, guess what? Before that, let's even stem before that. I started sitting in my carport on my phone with headphones. And that's the thing. Try out Chris Greenfield's stuff is still up on TikTok. So is Joe McKenzie's. There are websites that have lots of practice monologues and different things that you can do. Give it a shot. Listen to it. See what you think. You know what I mean? If you're up for it, show some people. If you don't want to, don't.
If you have friends, anything like mine, don't show them your first and early voiceover stuff, because it is. I have two.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are fucking brutal. Jake is one of them who does the editing and some of the producing. He's getting most of the producing for this little podcast here. And then there's Tom as well. We may do a friends and family episode where we just take the piss out of people we know. Who knows? Get some people. Yeah, I can get Tom on for an episode. We'll just rip into him and get Chanel on. We can rip into her. Oh, you don't want to die. Got it.
Yeah. No, that's not happening.
I'll work on it. Don't worry.
Go for it.
We'll talk. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll talk about that behind the curtain. But yeah, if you have friends anything like mine, I wouldn't recommend sending them your early stuff because that was a shot to the ego. I still have flashbacks, but it's also sometimes your best friends are your harshest critics, and that's what you need to hear in the moment. Nobody wants to have a yes man because they will get you fucked over. Oh yeah, sounds great. Send it off. Send it in, and you get utterly fucking destroyed by the casting director because it's the worst thing they've ever heard. Or you just don't hear back from any auditions ever because your work isn't that good. So maybe do send it to your friends if they're anything like mine, because it was definitely a steep learning curve after that.
Well, yeah, and some of us got lucky enough to start out with Joe McKenzie, and he is an outstanding director and a coach, but man, he does not sugarcoat anything. He does not sugarcoat because it doesn't help, right? He's not rude, he's not mean, but he gets straight to the point, says, nope, do this, try this.
He's not mean.
That's a little there. Connor's a little bitch. It's fine. It's not that bad. But it's and I'm not saying like everybody go to Joe, right? But there are communities. There's communities on Discord. There's communities on TikTok that will help you, and that's the whole point, right? Is that they will listen to your stuff, and at least at that point that you are talking to fellow voice actors, and they will help you out and guide you. I will tell you though, once you get up there and you have the drive and the feeling and you really think, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Oh my goodness, please take classes. I've taken unofficial classes and coachings and things like that. And I'm currently in some very official classes with a phenomenal voice actress. She's been in all sorts of things. Through Disney and Nickelodeon and on screen and off screen. And she's currently my coach. In just 2 sessions, I can't explain to you the amount of acting she's been able to bring out of not just me, but watching her with the others in the class. And it's pretty miraculous. So
she couldn't have made you any worse. So it was only up. This is the only direction you could go.
He's not wrong. So, but really, right? So those are things, and hands down practice. My Lord, practice. Yeah. If you want to do anything, you've got to do it every day, and you've got to put your all 100%. Into it, and you can't stop. No matter how many auditions that I don't hear back from or get rejected on, because and that's a reality for all of us as voice artists. You trust me, you are going to get rejected way more than you are going to get booked. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But there's so many of us now because of the pandemic and all of that. The market is saturated, but stand out, put the work in, because how many people jump? I might get hate mail for this, but do it. Hate mail me at dispodcast@gmail.com. That's fine. You can do that. It's all the people, and I've been one. And the reason I say this is I've been one.
Hold on. If you do send us hate mail to disspodcast@gmail.com, we may have that as a segment on a future show.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll read those emails. We'll read those emails out absolutely on the podcast. That is part of Disc. Please hate on us as well.
Continue.
And the reason I say it's because I was one of them, but it's the people that are like, oh, January 1, New Year's resolution, right? I'm going to go to the gym. And then they all go to the gym. And then when do they stop going to the gym? February, right? Maybe March for the ones that get there. And unfortunately, you got a lot of that with pandemic voice actors where a lot of them jumped in. They had nothing else to do. Once they found out, this is a job. It takes real work. It's actually hard. And you have to commit yourself to it and sacrifice for it. A lot of people will fall off. And to those that stick with the gym routines and stick in there, good for you. You know what I mean? Good on you. But again, bringing that back, everything is not for everyone, but you won't know.
I may have missed my mouth slightly.
You okay, buddy?
Yeah. I'm good. Continue.
So anyway. But yeah, so you know what I mean? You never know unless you try and you really commit yourself and really give it a real shot. You know what I mean? Which means the first time you get rejected, get your ass back up and try again. If you keep getting rejected, take classes, go do this, go do that. Continually try to better yourself, and good things will come of it.
I heard a quote from a voice actor who got cast in Baldur's Gate 3, Devora Wild, who plays Lae'zel in that. She was on a panel interview, and she was saying how people come up to her and go, "Oh my God, you must be getting booked for everything now." And she's like, "No, hire me." So obviously she's still putting out auditions and everything. She's got good credits to her name, but it's still tough. And then she said it reminded her of something that she was told ages ago was, if you want to be an actor, you have to be sure you want to be an actor, because it comes with so much rejection and so much pain. And why did I not get, I was perfect for it. Why did I not get it? And it's the same goes for voice acting. Right? It is the same. You do get rejected from a hell of a lot of stuff because your voice wasn't right. Maybe you weren't right on the day. On a different day, you could have got it. Who knows? Maybe there was just one tiny little tick in your audio that ruined the whole thing because somebody else had something clear. It could be down to any number of things. It could be that, further on down the line that the casting director knows your voice and automatically says, I'm not sure about this guy. So then it's down to you to really fucking push through and show them why they should hire you. Use the rejection as motivation. That's what I try to do anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Connor's a good example of that. And as he was pointing over to me, I'm also part of an amazing group called Bewilder Biscuit Productions. If you haven't heard of us, please check us out.
They are good. They are really good.
That's how that goes. And back to the real reason Connor started a podcast with me, because he thought that it would get him more roles with Bewildered.
Don't give away the secrets.
So, I am a co-casting director at Bewilder Biscuit Productions, as the four of us co-owners are. We oversee every aspect of our productions, and we do animated comics, and it's a new genre. Really, nobody's doing it like we're doing it. What he said is right. I mean, you wouldn't realize when you are auditioning how many auditions the casting director or directors actually listen to and go through. And sometimes, like he said, I won't sugarcoat it. Sometimes you hear 3 seconds of a voice and you're like, nope. And then unfortunately you move on. And as a voice actor, I know that hurts because I'm like, oh, I put in so much work for this audition. And I know they might only listen to 2.5 seconds ago. Not he sucks. No, but it doesn't mean you suck. It might mean you're not the right fit. You don't have the voice. You don't have the cadence. And it's not a knock on you. It's just, that's what the casting director is not looking for, right? And so, we listened to Conor, and there was some of that. We had to do a couple directed sessions with Conor, and it happens. There's factors that factor into Conor's time zone versus our time zone, because he's in England, we're in America. This 7-hour difference. I mean, the times that we work day jobs still. We're not doing this full time. Our evening time is his middle of the night time, and it has to be that way. But he still pushed through, still showed up. We weren't getting what we wanted out of him, and he pushed himself to that point and really got himself there and secured himself a role in one of our upcoming animated comics, which is, do not give up on yourself. Do not stop believing that you are an actor, even if you are bombing the shit out of an audition, because it happens, or a live directed session or something. It happens. Trust me. Even to the best actors, ask them. They are humans too. Like, it happens.
Yeah, like you were saying that sometimes you just have those sessions where you just don't hit it. And I auditioned for Reggie. You guys had me on a callback. Did the callback session, hit the voice fucking spot on. You loved it. And then you were like, right, cool. Yeah, we'll get you back for a live directed session to go through everything. Sweet. Come back to that. And that's when it was middle of the night. That's when I was tired. My voice was tired. And I knew that I just wasn't hitting it. And then once that starts to seep in, that's when you start the self-doubt and you start on the downward. And, Joe, Matt, you were okay, I guess. But you guys really you tried. You really did try to sort of just like slap me out of it. Like, no, come on, you've got this. It's your part. Fucking own it. And it's just, it was. This comes back to what I said earlier. It was the wrong day because we called it. We got some stuff. We got some lines recorded, but it was the wrong day. And then a week, 2 weeks later, we jumped back on a different call and fucking came at it with a different energy and got exactly back what you guys wanted. Found the voice again, smashed it, had Joe laughing. I think you laughed at a couple of points as well. I laughed because it's a fucking hilarious script and it's going to be so good to see it come to life.
But you did smash it. You really did.
So yeah, don't give up on yourself. Don't stop believing. And if you are finding that you're auditioning for something and that you're just not, you're just not hitting it, or then fucking take a break. If you've got time on the deadline, take a break. Come back to it the next day. You don't want to put out anything that's subpar,
right?
Because you won't get it. Simple as.
No, it's true, and I understand there's deadlines and there can be a rush on that, but for the most part, you have more time than you think you do. And we all have days. I mean, who the hell knows what happened the previous 12 hours of that day before you went to go into an audition. And sometimes it works for you and sometimes it works against you. You know, sometimes I definitely had days where I knew I had a dramatic script or an angry script to read. You know, I had kind of a shit day and I went, this is a perfect day to jump in that booth and be angry. You know what I mean? And because acting is being that character, not reading lines, not reading emotion. You are that character and you have to immerse yourself. And there's many different methods to acting. That's for sure. That's a lot of what I'm learning right now. I think there's 7 major ones as my coach was talking to me about it. And she's working on, you know, if you continue with her, she'll teach you all of them because there's some roles and things like that where you have to approach it differently, you know, angry roles. Or I did a read as Atrocitus. He's a Red Lantern from the Green Lantern series for DC. And Atrocitus is what you would imagine my voice would be great for. He's big, he's angry, he's got a super deep, growly, crazy, angry voice. You know, I was like, oh, I got this. I had shit. I had nothing. I had a voice of gravel with zero acting, and then realized that trying to put on a voice hindered me quite a bit versus using my natural voice, which already has the growl and all that. But if I really feel angry and I really feel out of place, that came through better in the read than me putting on some cool voice, which sometimes people get hired for cool voices and you will notice because the acting sucks, but but the voice is great. So, you know, if you can find both and learn how to act, then you put a voice to your acting. And then that's when you're getting some of the phenomenal actors that are out there that can do those things, i.e. Mark Hamill.
Yeah. We'll come on to voice actors that are inspiration for us, I guess. We'll come on to that in a bit. That's going to be one of my next questions. So yeah, that's another great bit of advice. Don't pursue the voice, pursue the acting. The voices will come later, 100%. And I guarantee you will get hired for more roles if you just use your natural voice with confidence and commit than you will to putting on any sort of fucking voice because you think it sounds better. It doesn't.
It's the absolute truth. It's taken me a long time to learn that lesson. And I'm just now really grasping that probably in the last month of acting that I've been doing. And I've been getting, and he's not wrong because I've been getting a much better response on the stuff that I'm doing. That is my voice and the acting is there and the response is so much better. Voice
actors that inspired you. You've already said Mark Hamill. I know I'm one of them as well. Who else?
You made me want to quit.
Because you thought you'd never get any jobs.
I realized how low it can really get in life. And then I just decided that should not be it, right?
I mean, I did get cast over you for a role, but I won't rub that in your face too much.
You know, the only thing that you really got going for you in America is that you have an accent. That's it.
I put on an American accent for the role that I beat you to. Just saying.
So voice actors that inspire me, I have loved animation and comic books and video games my entire life since I can remember. Just have always enthralled me, clearly. I would say Mark Hamill for one. I remember watching two of my favorites just happened to come in the same show. Just watching Batman, the animated series when I was a kid, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. And Kevin Conroy's Batman just grasped me. It just gripped me. And as it did hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people, like Kevin Conroy, just his acting, again, we're going to keep on emphasizing his acting, even though he's, you know, it's just a cartoon on a screen. He understood that he's not Kevin Conroy when he's doing that. He is Batman. Yeah. You know what I mean?
100%.
And even he made the one of the creators of the show and one of the original creators of Batman realize that Batman is the real character. Bruce Wayne is the mask and the costume.
Yeah. Yeah. I
right?
like that.
Batman
I
is the
didn't know. Yeah.
real, actual human being. That's who he
Mhm.
really is. Bruce is the cover. Right. So it's like pretty interesting. Right. Yeah. No, think about it. Right. But it makes total sense. So those two for sure. Peter Cullen, if you don't know
Mm.
who Peter Cullen is, he's the original voice of Optimus Prime, and he's done multitude of other things. He's not just
Mm.
Optimus Prime. If you don't know, Peter Cullen does the ticking of the Predator in the Predator movies. So
Yes, he does.
all those clicks and all of those
Yes.
mouth sounds and all of that, that's Peter Cullen. And he came about that, by the way, because he had a sore throat. He had already jacked his voice up from doing other things, and he couldn't do much because he does monster voices and sounds, and so that's what he did. And I would say Cal Dodd. Cal Dodd is the original voice of Wolverine on the X-Men the
Yes.
animated series. Also continues on in X-Men 97. And if you are not watching that and you are a nerd, you are not a nerd. You need to watch that. I don't care how you get your hands on it. X-Men 97 is... I thought they were going to ruin my childhood, and they made it even better.
I will move it up in my watch list.
You should. I mean, for anybody, even if you've never watched it, like it's just... It's so good.
Yeah.
They really did a good number on it. And there's a bunch of other voice actors, but I think those ones really gripped me when I was younger. The ones that get me now, and I always forget both of their names, and it's horrendous because I am a giant fan, and I always forget their names, especially when I want to go talk about them. So hate me now. But both voices of Kratos from the God of War series. So from games God of War 1, 2, and 3. Thank you, Christopher Judge. He is the new Kratos in 2018 and on, and then the previous actor.
That one I don't know.
And I think they did a really good job with those because it was a younger Kratos, and the new Kratos is a lot older and grizzled veteran, and he's trying to make it in a new realm completely because he absolutely annihilated his realm, literally atom by atom. So that shit does not belong anymore. And no spoilers, because that shit was like 20 years ago. So that's not a spoiler. If you haven't played, please play. But yeah, it's that whole, and of course I'm partial, boy, because I can get there. You know what I mean? Conor, what about you? What are the voices that have really inspired you?
Well, obviously, I've already mentioned Critical Role. Matt Mercer is a fucking god among voice actors. The stuff that man can do is ridiculous. When Critical Role first came out, a lot of dungeon masters hated him. Because how the fuck are they ever meant to compete with that? People would have dungeon masters have their players come up to them and go, "Do that." Fuck no. I can't. So yeah, Matt Mercer is definitely a massive inspiration for me. Travis Willingham as well. I want to go for a beer with him. Hey Travis, if you're watching, let's get in touch. We'll sort out a beer, because I just think that chaos would be fucking brilliant. Who else? Obviously, yeah, Mark Hamill as well for me. The fact that he can do he is the Joker. That's it. I'm sorry don't get me wrong. Live action, Heath Ledger did a fantastic job, but Mark Hamill's voice is just Joker. And, there's some newer ones. Oh, God, I'm having the exact same moment you had. I want to talk about the voice of Goku for the dubbed stuff.
Sean Shamel.
Thank you. The commitment that guy gives every time he goes Super Saiyan and just stands there. And there's the one scene in, I think it's the film for Dragon Ball Super, Battle of the Gods, where they're under the ground, and Beerus is like, "No, you're not even trying at all." And he's like, "Well, you destroy my what?" Oh my God. If you haven't seen him record that live, oh my God.
Please do, because it's insane. It is crazy to watch him.
So kind of, he's another one that just constantly, every time I see stuff he does, I'm like, yeah, that's the level I need to hit. Like, because the effort he gives, the natural ability of Matt Mercer and the acting of them all, if I can attain just a small fraction of what that would be, I'll be laughing. And that's where I want to get. Obviously, I want to push through all of that, but
as
a minimum.
I really think you will, because in the short time that I've known you and all that, I recognize your passion and your drive for what you do, and there are real reasons why we're friends, Connor. Stop it. That has to happen once.
Yeah,
once.
no, and just once it done. No,
I do have to say something really quick about Dragon Ball. When you do watch that in any of the animes, do not try to do that. Do not try to go scream. I will tell you right now, heavy metal singers will tell you all of this stuff. There is an art to screaming like that and not absolutely destroying your vocal folds for the rest of your life. No joke. Okay, I'm being very serious. PSA, do not go try to do a scream like Dragon Ball. You will wreck yourself. There are techniques that you need to learn. There's coaching you need to take, and you have to take it slow. You don't scream from your throat at all, by the way. Nope. You scream from your diaphragm, just like singing. But there's still another way to do things with your mouth shapes and all of that so that you don't, just because you can. I've tried. Damn near wrecked my shit. The only thing that saved me is that my voice is already this deep. If anything, I dropped it down a pitch or two. But yeah, so I did have to give that because I've unfortunately seen some people on TikTok doing some of the challenges for Dragon Ball, and you can tell, and nothing against them, they are beginning actors and all that, but man, you just watch the pain on their face while they're screaming, and I'm just oh, please don't do that.
It doesn't look good.
Like, it's not good.
I wanted so bad to do that scene for TikTok from Dragon Ball, and I was just watching it. I was like, I don't want to fuck my voice up because I want to audition for things tomorrow. So I didn't.
So okay, we got back into some voice acting tips. We have some because we can't help ourselves. We are voice actors. We can't help ourselves. Yeah. And with all things, a lot of us that do this stuff, that's nerdy stuff. Guess what? We're nerds. We love video games. We love comics. We love animation. We love all of these things, and we want to be in it, and that's part of our passion, right? And and remember that there are all different kinds of voice acting. You don't have to do all the stuff that we are doing. You can do, and Connor and I both have been in audio dramas that are taken very seriously from a reality point of view. It doesn't have to be fantasy. That are also insanely fun. One day I did shameless plugs because that's what we do here. We don't care. On my TikTok page and on my website, I do have mattmangum.com. I do have some samples on there of of myself doing the Hulk. And the very first thing in that is a big giant yell from the Hulk, and he does not have a light voice, okay? Because we were going after imitating as close as we could to the original voice actors, but putting our own spin on it because impressions are. Ooh, that's a touchy subject. Impressions are fantastic, and we all love to do impressions, but I don't want to be somebody else.
I do.
I want to be my own version. You know what I mean? So we just, I want to do my own spin on it. And that's why some people, I have a hard time with other voice actors, especially now that Conor is gone, rest in peace, playing Batman. But you have to give it to them because they are putting their own spin on their version of Batman. And the same thing. So impressions, yes, are voice acting, but they are impersonating somebody else versus being you as a character.
Well, on that, I will say what you can do with impressions, because I did do it for trying for so the audiobook that I've just finished recording, Dragon's Den. I did try one of the voices. So I can do an OK Stitch impression, and I used this to try and get one of the character voices. She didn't like it, which is fair. It was a new thing. I thought, fuck it, I'll give it a go. It was for the main dragon, Loki. And I thought, well, she wants high energy. She wants like that cute, lovable sort of feel to this dragon. So I thought, well, Stitch is cute and lovable. So he says it himself. He's cute and fluffy. So I thought we'll give it a go. She didn't like it, and then I went in a different direction, which she has liked. And if you listen to the book, You'll know what it is. So yeah, what you can do with impressions is obviously you use different parts of your throat to achieve these sounds, and you can take that and expand on it and play in those areas and figure out that you can go in whole different directions with your voice. Impressions are great. They're funny. They're hilarious. We do them a fucking lot on this show because, you know, it's out of character to hear Kronk say some just offbeat shit. Herbert to chime in and give actual good advice is weird. And it catches people off guard, and that's where the humor is. So yeah, like, do impressions, use what you learn from that impression, put it into your voices, put it into your repertoire, take it forward, and go conquer the fucking world. I believe in you. He may not. I do.
I don't. You're shit. Get better.
I mean, yeah, do that. Always be better. Even if you think you're at the top of your game, you're fucking not. Be better. Get better. The second you start to accept that you have made it, you will be complacent and you will fall off.
And if you think that you already know, you've learned everything, you have. Even though there's this multitude of more information out there. But you have to understand, it's like, so I teach martial arts. And so we have students sometimes that get up to middle range, close to high rank, right? And they're starting to put their curriculum together and start getting ready for their black belt. And it saddens me sometimes when you hear them, and it really does, when they're like, you know, we go over techniques, we re-go over them, you learn more advanced ways of doing them and all that. But when a student says, I already learned that, can we do something else?
Ooh.
Right? And immediately my heart sinks because I'm like, you're done. You know what I mean? And you have reached your peak. Always know that no matter how advanced you get or how high up you get, or if people call you the best, and even if you become the best, there's still so much more for you to learn. Never stop learning, never stop practicing, never stop getting better. Because guess what happens when you don't ride a bicycle for years? I discovered that last year, that I haven't ridden a bicycle in like almost 2 decades. Oh no, yeah, it was worse. I ate it like 4 or 5 times.
Please tell me there's videos or pictures.
And
I need to see those.
Yeah, it was just atrocious. And I used to BMX all the time. So there's that. My son asks me to get on the skateboard and show him what I used to do, and I say absolutely not. And he says, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm old and things break."
I think that wraps up that whole segment nicely.
Yes, indeed.
We've given some tips to some of you beginner voiceover artists, voice actors out there. And whilst you're doing your practice and your prep and your learning, go check out some of the voice actors that we've mentioned, because they are fucking top notch. And do just go find yourself some videos to watch of voice actors doing what they do. If you're into anime, if you're into video games, find out who does the voice of your favorite characters and go watch them. Because firstly, you'll be surprised how much they're fucking in. Jesus Christ.
No, he's right. You would be very surprised, and I think Connor's got it, but I just want to say this real quick. You would be very, very surprised how many of your favorite on-screen actors, how many characters in animation and video games that they actually play. There's quite a few that do way more than just on-screen acting. That's for sure.
100%. Bryce Papenbrook. So he's in Seven Deadly Sins, which is one of my favorite animes. It was one of the first ones I watched. Fantastic. And then recently I was watching Miraculous, Ladybug, and Cat Noir with my boys, and he's Cat Noir. So obviously I've stuck it on for them because they wanted to watch it. I was like, yeah, sure, we can watch that. Why not? Sat down, and then I hear him, and it's Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins is in this. What the fuck? And then to make it even weirder, his Kwame Plag is voiced by King, who's also from Seven Deadly Sins. And I was like, well, this just changed this whole fucking show for me. Now I'm invested.
Yeah. I will say, too, that I had no idea. So I'm just barely allowing myself to be open enough to get into D&D. It was one of those things that when I was younger, I was like, nerds. Even though like I'm a giant nerd myself, but I was like, come on, guys. You know what I mean? But now with the voice acting stuff, I realized like, this is actually kind of cool. I could see how you could have a lot of fun with this.
We are going to do a session.
Oh yes, I'm like I said, I'm open for it. Let's play. And the cool thing is I I've been being told, because I'm not a huge anime person, I respect it. There's just not a lot of them that I can get into, or that I really have time for. I'm kind of busy. I'm kind of a big deal. So couldn't resist with my co-host Ron Burgundy over here, who reads whatever's on the teleprompter, as you will see in a future episode. So I started watching something that Conor has noticed just on TikTok clips, which is Critical Role, and I was like, oh, this is pretty kick-ass, actually. And then the voice actor, that he'll be able to tell me because I don't know his name, he just he opens one clip and he says, Vox Machina fuck shit up. And I didn't realize, obviously, most of the cast of Critical Role is Vox Machina, the anime, right? And a lot of their characters in Critical Role based off of those, and they intertwine those. Is to my understanding, I might be wrong.
No, so the Legend of Vox Machina
or
on
is it very
Prime,
different?
It's. I mean, they adapted what happened in campaign 1 of their live play to the anime. So when you see some of the stuff that doesn't make sense, like if they can't open a door or if they're struggling with this or that, that's because they rolled shit in real life when they played it all those years ago. It's just, So when the madness is happening, or like, or if they're succeeding in a fight that they have no right to fucking succeed in, it's because they rolled really well. Gotcha. Obviously, they've had to adapt some things to make it fit and within the story. But there are so many things. They did it so well from when they played it to how they made it into a show. Just fucking beautiful. And I'm looking forward to the next season.
Well, yeah, I mean, and for the D&D heads like you, it's amazing to put that together and to have that callback from the live ones. But even without that, for all the people that are watching Vox Machina, already rave about it if they have no idea that it has anything to do with D&D, right? They still rave about how good it is. So that's one good. That is one that's on my to watch list. That's for sure. I think with that, we'll go ahead and close out the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on this here podcast. I'm not letting you live that one down as long as I can remember.
Done. You take it. My brain died.
Yes, thank you for joining us on this podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've had a lot of fun. Hopefully there's some sort of value for you to take away if you are a new voice actor. Even if you're not, maybe there was some things to remind you of stuff to focus on, because we're all guilty of forgetting it. The amount of times I go, I've got the perfect voice for this, and I forget to do the acting behind it because... I mean, we all want to sound cool, don't we? Let's be honest. But yeah, so hopefully there's some stuff to remind you from. No, back to you, Matt.
Thank you so much for joining us. Again, like he was saying, hopefully you got some value out of the content. Hopefully you got some good laughs. Hopefully we've done enough to earn your listening for the next episode. So on the next episode, you will be suffering through Conor and I again. But we will have some different subject matter, some different things coming up. We have a lot of stuff that we love to talk about. We're very passionate about not just voice acting. Yeah. And then, of course, be on the lookout for another special guest episode coming up in the next few. We will be announcing that. And so please check us out. We are Dis Podcast on TikTok. Check us out on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. The main place that you're going to be watching our podcast is going to be YouTube. If you have any of your other podcast platforms, you can listen and or watch depending on that platform. We do highly recommend watching those so that you can see Conor and I's brains just
implode,
struggle through life.
Just get a little hamster in a wheel.
Please, that is half drunk and
half dead.
Absolutely, and you've got the one brain cell that we share. Thank you again so much for joining us on this podcast. We're very honored to have you, and we will dish you later.
Dish you later.